Good morning, comrade. You listen to WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly Good Morning Comrade, Jeff and Robert, here on the program. What is up, Robert? How you doing, homie?
Pretty good. We are live on TikTok right now, as
yeah.
well as Twitch. So that's a new thing for us. Blah blah blah. Good
TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, everything. So
we love you on TikTok. We could use all the followers we could get to 10K because we apparently we have the weekend before they nuke this app again.
Yeah,
we all have to go back to Douyin.
Let's get the line to go up before the line gets just like nuked. Why not?
Word. Also, there's a guy I was checking my TikTok before I hit the live button. I got a guy who follows me and sends me stuff. His username is Antifa Warmaster. Obviously a Fed. But I love his name. I love it. He sends me the most crazy stuff. Like, we just gotta like Luigi everybody. And I'm just like, thanks, officer.
Yeah.
But okay.
You would think that, like, I don't know, there's a joke that a buddy of mine put on Twitter that, like, and this is not exactly the same, but like, you just mentioned feds and it kind of like came to my attention, but like every now and then, you know how like they'll have these DSA like blow ups or whatever on Twitter. Right. And the joke is that like, oh yeah, I bet the federal agent assigned to DSA is just like crazy hands off, just because it's just self-sabotage, like self-undercutting, like destruction, you know?
Or they're so deep in that like, yeah, you know, that's like right out of the CIA, like unclassified handbook, like no conspiracy, no nothing. It's just like join leftist organizations and be as annoying as pedantic as possible. And I feel like, I get it. It worked on me. It got me to walk away from plenty of orgs. I don't want to deal with this foolishness of like, well, actually, have you thought about people, we don't want to do a food drive here at a church because people have trauma associated with shut up. I can't stand you. I hate the left. We're so weird. We're so weird. We're so weird and we're so pedantic and we're so annoying. That's why we can't get anything done. Well, that and because capitalism his boots on our neck and we at least know it, but the people around us don't know it. Like, especially with like today, watching stonks, line go down again.
So I mean, again, you say that the left is not been, it doesn't have any clout or anything like that, but JDPON John, the Maoist infiltrator into the U.S. government, is doing a fantastic job of taking down the American empire. I think this is actually great. He's bringing us down economically and destroying it. He's destroyed soft power abroad. I mean, really, this is anti-imperialism in action, right?
To be honest about it, bro, like that's the only thing I can think of. Like I'm watching the stock market lost another almost 4% today, like 3.98%, and things are about to get real bad here. Like the plan to leave the country is now in like full effect. I've applied for jobs in Ireland and also Poland this week. Poland. I mean, honestly, I was looking at jobs in Cambodia, but the thing about Cambodia is like, I'm afraid, honestly, that they would, if I would move to a country that doesn't have strong labor protection, they will do to me as a migrant what America does to migrants who come here. It's just like, hey, guess what? You're here and you don't know anybody and you just got fresh off the boat. You're working 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. You're going to be teaching these kids. And that's what you're doing. And I'm like, ooh. And I mean, I'm being hyperbolic, but the more stuff I read, the more people are like, yeah, bro, like they work you. They like all these countries with soft labor protections work you. So again, I will definitely move to an Asian country.
One of those sweet Nordic social democracy.
Absolutely. I mean, Norway's on the. I think I applied for a job. No, the Polish job is for Grammarly's social media team, and then I applied for a HR job in Dublin. Which, if I can get into Dublin, that means I can get into Belfast. That's the ultimate goal. But yeah, like you're watching this, and I'm trying to explain to like the dumb guy at my job because he's talking about, I don't know what he was ranting about today, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, all these countries are going to see they're going to have to drop all their tariffs on us, so because they want to be in our market, and I'm like,
so crazy.
I'm like, brother, like they're already in our market, they're not going anywhere, like. What are you even talking about? I'm like, I had to hold up, like, I don't know. I held up like something from my desk. And I was like, look, we don't make anything. If you want this, it's coming from China and you're going to pay 35% more for it.
There's a reason that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be like $500 now. I mean, like, obviously they like the incentive for capital is to like jack the price up as much as possible. But like at the same time, like you have these imperatives that trade policy is essentially forcing on Japan and other foreign countries to just increase the price of everything, including, again, the treats. When do jalapeno poppers go from $5 to $6? I think that's when we're going to have a problem. You know what I mean?
That's when we could have a potential of storming the Bastille. I mean, that will. I mean, honestly, I know.
Like I said, Donald Trump, thank you for your leadership in this moment and making this moment possible, I suppose.
I know we always make jokes about $5 jalapeno poppers, like quoting, Hassan Piker, but it's like that is true. I'm like, look how the hogs in this country acted during COVID when they couldn't get to Chili's. They were ready to like shoot the Chili's up.
Like we're in the parking lot. We have guns drawn because my wife needs her nails done.
No, absolutely. That's how it was. So it's like it will be like that again. Here, and I have 2 points. So the one, I just want to don't let them die in my head. I'm going to cut a TikTok about this. The second part too. These tariffs, and I'm not like against tariffs. So the plan, if it was me, if I was President Robert Johnson, God King of the quote unquote free world. What I would do is I'm like, yeah, we are doing tariffs after we subsidize manufacturing in this country. And, they
ain't doing that.
I know, because that's scary and that's communism. I understand. But we do what China does and we subsidize manufacturing. And once we get that into place, then we can do tariffs because, yeah, we don't want BYD cars over here. What we're going to have is our own car that's equal to or better, subsidized by the United States government. And we're going to sell that and we're going to put 100% tariff on a BYD car. So it incentivizes people to buy our good American car. But we're not doing that.
No, we got Elon for that. We got Elon to do that instead, to make his like crappy, hideous Cybertrucks and his terrible like catch on fire.
Right. And the second part, like, so with that said, the way that the economy is just being gutted right now because of these tariffs. It only makes sense if you want to destroy what's left of medium and small businesses. So that way your rich oligarch friends can buy up the pieces and they can just have it all.
Yeah. Power.
And that's what happened under, I almost said Biden. That's what happened under Obama, under the Great Recession. When, all these people couldn't afford their house notes. And so they were foreclosed on, and BlackRock and all these other capital companies bought up everybody's house. And now they have a stranglehold on the rental and housing market in this country. It's happened before. And it's the only thing that makes any kind of sense is they're trying to do this again.
Yeah.
Third thing, I get this out. Like I've been really, and I have to state, like, I do not want this to happen, and how everything comes back to Palestine.
It's a prediction, not a wish.
I do not want this to happen, but I see it. If you've noticed that the bro podcast industrial complex has turned on Israel.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, what is going on? We're giving all this. We're completely the same thing leftists have been saying. We're to Israel. We give all this money to Israel. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? And so you take that, it's already turned, like, American sentiment has turned against Israel. Then you take that plus what we just did to Zelensky and what we've done to every American colony is eventually when it gets too hot, we drop you and we leave you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you combine that with no more treats, no more $5 jalapeno poppers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see some anti-Semitism that's going to make Crystal Knot look crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That look tame, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this, but how people cannot see that this is where we're headed. I saw what put this in my head is I saw a TikTok clip. It was like this was like in LA. I think it was at the Laugh Factory or whatever. And it was a Jewish comedian getting heckled. He got called all kinds of anti-Semitic, like nasty stuff. And then the guy followed it up with, you should go back to Israel. This is Trump's America. Mm-hmm. And he was dead serious. So if that guy has now turned on Israel, now that guy
over
pay his bills, and that guy's not going to be able to buy food. And Trump is going to blame it. He's like, folks, we've given all this money. We've given all this money to Israel, folks. They've taken advantage. They've treated us very roughly. They've taken advantage of us, and they're gonna hit. And we're gonna get.
They didn't even say thank you. Did they say thank you one time?
Exactly.
Did they say thank you one time?
Exactly what they did to Zelensky, and we're gonna get Charlottesville too. And the sick part about it, here's the part that's gonna be so crazy and ironic. And it's like all the American Jewish Zionists who have buddied up to the right wing are gonna have the right wing turned on them, and it's gonna be college brown kids or college JVP people, Jews, white Jews in American colleges who are going to be taking on the chin. They're going to be outside of synagogues going, if you even try to come in here, we're throwing down with you. And all these people are going to feel so stupid. They're going to feel so stupid. But like, it's going to be violence, and it's terrifying, and I do not want it to happen, but this looks like the course that we are on.
Yeah. And again, like you mentioned the bro podcast sphere or anything like that, which like Trump had on lockdown. I mean, we're seeing also at the same time the just sort of like dragnet rounding up and profiling of people and shipping them out of this country to places they're not even from without any due process. And like, that's obviously, it's so horrible. And it's so like depraved that like even people like Joe Rogan are like, "Hey man, that's actually kind of bad. Like maybe we shouldn't be doing this."
I don't want to give. I'm
like,
seriously
no credit, but
no,
like
you're right.
He's been like glazing Trump since at least 2020, right?
Yeah.
Before that, really, but like he supported Bernie Sanders in like 2016, which I mean, like, look, he's turned a show that like, wasn't for everybody, but it had genuine broad appeal, like whether you like Joe Rogan or not. And I mean, there's definitely lots of problems with it. And he turned it into was essentially like a glaze fest for Donald Trump and billionaires, right? And then so essentially he becomes not just like like him and like people like Asmongold and a bunch of these like other freakazoids, which I'm not saying that Asmongold has come to any kind to his senses because he's way dumber than Joe Rogan, which is
but he's a good match. He's a good thermometer.
Yeah,
he's dumb, but he's a good thermometer of how like I won't even say the common man. I would say how like
how people who care about like, boobs and video games think.
Yeah, how like neats, like the weird neats in this country, and it's just he's a barometer of just like rudderless white men in this country.
But like just to sort of like I'm looking at this article right now in The Guardian. Joe Rogan breaks with Trump, calling Venezuelan deportations horrific. And like you wouldn't even you would think that like he would go out of his way, considering like how he just like defends and double downs on everything all of the time to never ever admit that he's wrong. That he would like find a way to not do this. But even he at this point is like, even if it's like a like basic measured critique or whatever, even if it's a little bit of flip flop. Like,
but we got to be real about it. I want to put some salt on that real quick.
Put a little salt on it.
Little caveat, because his thing. I've seen that clip of what you're talking about. It's been played over the internet.
Pull it up for me, Jamie.
Joe Rogan. I know. I wish we had a Jamie. We can't pay a Jamie in this operation. But so here's the problem: is like it makes me the thing about Joe Rogan that makes me just violently want to projectile vomit is that he will sit there with the most serious face and he will tell you about Atlantis and Benjamin Road and like how alien probes are flying out of people's butts and like pull it up, Jamie. Tell me about the alien probe out of people's butts. But when he'll get multiple news sources saying, "Hey, we've got people who have been taken without black bagged and flown to a foreign country without due process," and then the government is saying, "Hey, our government is saying, hey, we did oopsie doopsie, we made a mistake, but there's nothing we can do to get them back because they're in a foreign country." He'll sit there and say, "Well, if this is true,
this
is true, I don't know. Can you?
Who could ever possibly know these things?
Who can know these?
Ever know these things? It's not like it's
you,
like
son of a.
It's not like the Trump administration literally admitted to doing that.
Yeah.
And everybody is mad at them for that. I mean, like, and again, they're just like ruining people's lives. They're like, you know, taking just like normal people, like sheet metal workers or whatever, saying, "Well, you're Tren de Aragua or whatever," and like, you know, you are. You know, they don't even give them due process. They're not even checking to make sure that they're a citizen, and it's just like, you're out of here.
Your citizenship status, and that's the thing I've been trying to. I know I don't want to. It hurts. Like personally in my family, I've been having fights with people in my family, and I'm like, they're like, you're being you're overreacting. This could never happen to you.
So
you're a citizen. And I said, first of all, I don't care if we knew 100% this could never happen to me. I'm still going to be just as angry. It has happened
so many times in history.
Right. I'm just going to be just as mad. Second of all, that you think this can't happen to me is crazy. And then I'm showing the same people these, you know, multiple articles saying exactly what we're talking about is that the government says, oopsie doopsie, we didn't mean to deport this guy. There was no reason to deport him. But now that he's in El Salvador, there's nothing. The American government, the most lethal military to ever exist, that we have, nothing is beyond our reach.
It's just a small bean. There's a small bean.
And we can't do anything about getting one of our people back home. There's whole movies. We're old enough to know there's whole movies made about this in the 80s.
Yeah.
To where, like, if you are an American citizen, you're in Iran, you're in Iraq, you're somewhere and the bad guys got you, we will lift heavy. We will send SEAL Team 5, 6, and 7 to come get you. And all of a sudden now there's nothing we can do. There's a whole movie. I can think of that Argo movie about how we got those. We made flew a whole fake movie production team to Iran that they were going to film some sci-fi movie just to get American hostages out during Jimmy Carter's presidency. So please, like, I can't be bothered to hear this garbage. And when I'm showing my family members, like, hey, this is, you know, like, look, the government says they did a oopsie, but there's nothing they can do about it. And they're like, well, and they want to fuss. They want to fuss with me. I'm like, the only thing that should come out of your mouth at this point is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I told you were overreacting. It's absolutely, it's ridiculous to y'all want to fuss about stuff. Fuss about it's not raining, but we're all out here getting wet. And I'm showing you how I'm wringing out my shirt, showing you how it's wet. And you're like, no, it's not raining. I think you're overreacting to the rain. And I'm just like, is it lead paint stare? Is it just too far gone? Or is it that if you have to sit down and accept these things, that we actually are the baddies, and our number one export throughout history has been nothing but misery and death. Now you have to take responsibility for that, and it hurts. And you don't want that hurt on you.
Alternatively, yeah, you can choose not to do that. It's way easier to just like deny reality than to accept it, essentially. Like, it's way easier to just like turn on American like government propaganda channels that are, you know, not just Fox News, but CNN, MSNBC, all of that stuff. You could turn that on and just be told a story that like they have to do this because this is like, you know, these is unprecedented times where every single like immigrant child who crosses the border illegally or without papers or whatever is murdering 50 Americans apiece. It's insane. Like, the idea that like these immigrants who come here, who work for less than minimum wage in many cases, who have more precarious citizenship status than anybody, and who essentially are able to be taken advantage of by not only their boss but basically anyone around them because of their status. You think that they're going to be on here just like trying to draw this attention to themselves and like get themselves in this climate? Are you like, that's just like you have to go so far out of your way to deny reality that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that you think that these people think that they're American citizens or that they're white, and they think that this won't affect them. Yeah, it'll keep them safe. That's the underline, is they think it'll keep them safe. And like you said, it's absolutely not, because what this is showing you, that guy is rotting in a El Salvadorian hell prison right now,
which is not where any of these people supposedly even came from
at all.
Like Trent de Aragua. Sorry, I can't say words right now.
I've never heard. I've never heard of that before.
It's like the supposed the new Trent de Aragua group that they made up is supposedly be from Venezuela. Why are you sending these people to El Salvador?
Right.
Because Trump has a willing participant in this. I mean, essentially just like extermination of immigrants in the El Salvadoran president, which is like a Trump guy, crypto bro freak, just like him.
And what it's showing you is that your citizenship status is whatever the nearest federal agent says that it is.
Yeah.
They don't care. Like, they're just like, yeah, it's just another number. These guys are just modern day slave catchers. That's a great analogy of just like slave catcher. Be like, no, I'm free. I'm in the north. What's that got to do with me? You cross the Ohio River, I'm dragging you right back. I don't care. Who's going to stop me? And that's what we're going through right now.
Well, you know who can stop it? Thank God we have heroes who will stand on the Senate floor like Cory Booker, who will talk about getting like some kind of record for like standing and talking and yapping for like a day long. Not to block any particular bill, not to like do anything procedurally in the Senate. The dude was just yapping for the love of the game, baby. And he stopped Donald Trump's agenda permanently and forever. It's over.
Brother, and that's that Cory Booker. I want you to tell me, because this is like your thing now of like procedure and stuff. Like, I want you to tell me all about, I want you to really dive into this, but I'll say this right off the bat with my Cory Booker. What makes me mad that he's just the corniest.
Oh, he's a cornball.
He's the corniest dude of all time.
Michael Brooks called him a cornball.
He's so corny, dude. And then like the thing that makes me
Brooks, obviously.
The thing that makes me so angry about him is because there's so many like good-natured liberals, and I'm not even talking about turbo libs who should know better, who like are terminally online. There's so many normal liberals who even have leftist tendencies, but they're not, they're just normal people. They don't, this isn't their autistic special interest like it is mine. And they think that Cory Booker was doing something. So they're like, he is lying to those people.
Oh,
he is tricking those people. Yeah, he was yapping. He wasn't even doing a filibuster. He was doing a filler yap.
Well, he was doing something, and we'll get that to a moment. But I do want to like talk about Cory Booker first. So, like, again, Cory Booker is one of these guys. He was the mayor of Newark before he was a senator. He destroyed public education in Newark, essentially like inviting in charter schools and all these vouchers and things like that. He is a crypto freak. He is a Zionist Israel hawk. He is a freak. He was basically calling protesters terrorists and Palestinians terrorists, in over the past year while the genocide takes place. He sucks. And he's like, he was literally we were talking about before the show, the abundance agenda, the warmed over neoliberalism that they're trying to peddle as the like future of the Democrats, which is essentially the same exact stuff that got us in this position in the first place. Like they ain't no answers there, but Cory Booker was talking for a reason. There is a reason he is talking, and it is to essentially edge out the progressives. So like he was yapping and like getting all this attention because Bernie Sanders is out touring the country with AOC or whatever, and like actually talking about oligarchy, actually planting the ideas of like, oh, this is a class war in normal people's brains, which is a good thing. And Cory Booker is out there to essentially suck up a lot of that air, suck up a lot of that energy, and essentially, because there is a battle for the Democratic Party taking place right now, and like that is essentially like we talk about the Young Turks and we talk about all of these sort of like centrist-y, liberally groups. Yeah. They're trying to essentially hold the edge of what is like realistic and what is possible within the system. It's the same exact damn stuff.
And let me tell you, so the people who are watching this, listening to it, wherever you're getting it at, who might not know, I was an elected delegate, for Bernie Sanders. I had to win a race. Yeah. And I am not a Bernie Sanders or AOC stan.
Sure.
Like how I say it is, I want full automated gay space communism. But if I had a button in front of me that said "sock them," I would smash that button so hard and make it happen. And yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I remember
and that's what Bernie and AOC are. They're the sock them button.
Exactly. I remember fighting my wife for the kind of the same things during when Bernie with Elizabeth Warren, and I'm like,
oh God,
I was like, we're fighting about it. Like we were yelling. I'm like, you're being a useful idiot. Like. This woman, she's like, I can't believe you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, it's not even a her thing. She's bad, but if I could smash the Elizabeth Warren button and make her president, I would just do it.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. So I might as well advocate for something better. But like, just to say, I'm not a stan of those two at all, but I will I'll be damned if I let Cory Booker cozy up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be damned. Heck no.
He's not trying to cozy up to them.
No.
He's trying to cut them off, is what he's trying to do.
Yeah. But he's trying to be like, oh, I'm over here too. But he's actively working. I know what you're saying. He's actively working against even the sock dim wing, which is 4 people of the Democratic Party. But that's how fearful they are. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I said this on TikTok the other day where I made a TikTok about, Louisiana Democratic Party. It's worthless, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Apparently Stephen Handelwork has come around to a come to Jesus moment. This is kind of an offer. Apparently he is like, hey, this ain't it. Like we need to push further left. So, Stephen, if you somehow hear this, I take back everything. And what's been said, I will send you what's your fax number? And I will fax you because we're both old. So what's your fax number? And I will fax you and my apology for him.
I don't think Steven's in Louisiana anymore.
No, he's not. So I learned that. I learned that through TikTok. You learn something new every day.
I remember when that was happening because I was more plugged into the Louisiana Democratic stuff back in the day.
But still, like, I do not believe in representative democracy anymore. Like I'm completely broken of it.
We need President Xi.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, I'm not even joking about that. And no, going full circle, here's the disgusting part. And I feel like they would never listen. The evil people in the world don't listen to us anyway because they don't want some of it. They want it all. That's kind of a theme. But if you look, if food prices were low, rent was low or non-existent, housing prices were low, you didn't pay for healthcare, you didn't pay for education, there wouldn't be that much think about Palestine.
Yeah,
there really wouldn't be. And I don't mean that as a place of like I want that to happen. Obviously, I'm sitting here with a keffiyeh around my neck.
Yeah,
but it would be a lot harder to mobilize people against literal war crimes if the price of eggs was low.
Yeah.
And like you look at China is the same way. Like China's doing military operations around Taiwan, which if I don't honestly, whatever, man. Like y'all are, I don't know the history. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the history of Taiwan and China and Chinese Taipei and all that. But the Chinese people, for the most part, from I dig into that side of media, they're just like, I guess they'll work it out. Yeah, because they got flying taxis.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. Because they got BYD cars. Because they got a 100-year lease on their apartment, which costs them like 1/30 of their take-home pay.
100-year lease. Wow.
Yeah. You get a 100-year lease.
Mm-hmm.
You get a 100-year lease, and you can pass that on to your next of kin if you want.
Yeah, put that in your
it's
will.
crazy. Yeah, so it's like it's crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so things I do not like about, you were joking about G, but things I do not like about China is the surveillance state. But what makes the surveillance state a lot easier to swallow is when I don't have to worry about getting sick and going into crushing medical debt.
When people say that too, and like, I'm not saying that China isn't like a crazy surveillance state, but do you think America is not already a surveillance state, or like going in the direction of
we do all the bad things that they do, except we get none of the treats.
Yeah.
And by treats, I mean essentials so we can live.
Yeah. Like eggs. And again, like we saw, because we're recording on Thursday, the day after Liberation Day. I hope you had a great Liberation Day, Bob.
Oh, it was awesome. I watched the stock ticker. I watched the line liberate itself from gravity.
Yeah, line go down. And as that sort of like takes place, like I also just see this awesome video of Trump like holding up the like $5 million gold card that, like, if you're a rich immigrant, essentially you could just buy that.
Who wants that?
Citizenship. Nope, nobody. No,
Russian dude. Who wants it?
It's a scam. It's not even actually a proper scam. It's literally just like Trump figuring out a reason to get on TV for a day again. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically, dude. I have been watching some of these like Trump press conferences that he just does in the White House like all the time, just because I have a like sick, stupid brain. Right. And it's just like him hanging out with reporters for hours. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's so wild. Like, I don't know, man. We are super duper cooked.
No, we're so cooked, and the people here, like, deep down, we all know it. But no, either people are doing three things: they're running around with chickens with their heads cut off, like I am, or they just ignore it because it's too much to take in.
Too horrible to conceive.
They'd be like, I don't want to talk about politics when everything is political, literally everything. And or they're just in denial. They're just in denial.
That's the most prevalent one, I think, the denial thing.
Yeah, they're trying to explain to you how they can't take their family out to eat is a good thing. Yeah. How they're helping America.
Well, in a lot of senses, too, people who like, don't have the third eye open like this, they kind of have to do that because like they got to go to work on Monday, and if you're thinking about that, you're gonna get a bad performance review, and that's gonna mess you up. And essentially, like, people are essentially doing that because the alternative of losing the position that you have in life is like unacceptable. So you have to take that lie. You have to accept that, unless you're like insane like you and me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, or it'll just break.
And many other people. We're not the only two insane people.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said earlier. Like, if you accept reality, then now you have to be responsible for that, for your choices after that. But if you can just keep pretending that you didn't know, and you just go, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, it's like, yeah, like no, you know, like you can read. You just choosing. It's to the point where he's like. I think of the dumb guy at my work who was just like, well, Trump's bringing back manufacturing. Like all these companies are coming back. I'm like, what? I'm like, name one. I'm like, I said, I'll name one for you right now. Honda. They said there's going to be a Honda plant built, a new one in America. Trump said that. Oh, by the way, Honda also came out and said, we don't know what he's talking about. That's not happening. And I'm just like, and he's like, that's not true. He goes, that's not true. That's not true. So I show him online. And then he goes, he's only half joking. Like he's saying it with like a laughing. He goes, that's fake news. That's AI. Yeah. And I go, this is too serious. This is too serious, man. I said, if you're going to, I go, you got kids. I don't. So you like when you, and he's like, well, you got to trust the process. I go, you tell your kids that at Christmas, bro. You tell your kids, well, I want you to wrap up, trust the process for them. Because that's all you're going to be able to afford. Yeah. I'm like, come on, brother. I'm like, it's just, we're too late in the game for this. Like, you don't want to accept this. But I can have some empathy, not for the ignorance, but I can have some empathy for the freeze, the dough response, because you and I are like an anomaly. We're childless. Like we can move. Like I mean, even it's hard for us.
I just did it 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's hard for us to pack up and move. We're getting old.
It sucks.
Like for real old. It sucks. It sucks. Like if I immigrate somewhere else, it's going to suck. I know it doesn't matter. It's not going to be a permanent vacation. It's not like I'm immigrating to sandals. So it's like, it's going to suck, but we can do it. Like this guy just had a baby a couple months ago. This guy's got another kid. This guy's got a wife and a mortgage and all this. And so it's like, yeah, he's kind of locked in here unless he makes some kind of significant move. But by the time he decides, hey, maybe like I gotta put some, it's gonna be too late.
Yeah,
it's gonna be too late for that guy.
Get with the program, or at least tell yourself you're with the program, or just fear for your life every day because you might be next. So
yeah, that's why I'm in the fear for my life. That's
no, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about him.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that like either he has two choices at that point, which is essentially get with the program, be a good German, in Nazi Germany or whatever,
right?
Or like, undermine it or whatever, and just be scared all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Bottom of the hour, you listen to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. Jeff and Robert on the show. Yeah, no. Again, this has been building up since whatever. And on the other point that you were mentioning also is that like, and this is kind of the craziest thing to me, which is the thing that tells me how bad we're cooked, is that like if you're basing anything off of the idea that something is true just because Donald Trump said it, the president said it, like that dude is one of the most like congenital liars I have ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like not even trying to be like a lib about it or whatever. It's just like that is facts. You're gonna trust that guy, the guy who literally just bases his entire life off of scamming workers, off of like, I don't know, man. It is insane to me a little bit.
I mean, I keep going back to the dude at work.
That's your strong man.
No, and that's how people operate. I keep thinking about the dude at my job. We go round and round with this because he's like, again, a good, barometer of how people think and how people feel. It's just an average dude in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he's got Joe Rogan brain because he will tell you about the craziest George Soros conspiracy about this and that and how the election was stolen and all this, but you'll show him, sourced information from 10 different sources and he'll be like, well, I don't think that's right. And I'm like, but you believe that Joe Biden was a demonic alien. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, how do you believe this fantastical garbage? It's because you don't have to take responsibility.
There's no stakes for you. And it lines up with what you already agree with. So you don't need it to be proven. If you don't agree with it on its face, then you have to challenge it. Like, that's just how that works, right? Like, if you don't believe something and somebody tells you something that challenges what you already do believe, you're going to want verifications. But if I tell you something that you already agree with, you're just going to nod along and be like, yeah, that's totally like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Like, the only time he ever stops and hits the brakes on these kinds of things, and I've listened to a lot of Joe Rogan over the days, is that like, actually, like, trans women don't have a competitive advantage in combat sports. And he'd be like, "Whoa, hold on a second there. I'm sure that there's studies or whatever, but is that real? Vaccines don't cause autism or whatever. Hold on a second there. Is that real? But beef tallow stops cancer or something.
Exactly. Like but these same people will tell you that market volatility is somehow good.
Yeah.
But, but they got to get Inspector Detector on the case for that. But for, hey, does weed cure, I don't know, boogers? Will weed cure your boogers and make them delicious to eat? He goes, yeah. I heard that. RFK's been saying a lot of good things about that.
Jamie, pull it up for me.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, get back to, I want to hear about who would win between a crocodile and one crocodile versus 1,000 jackrabbits.
Tell me more about the Amanita muscaria mushrooms, bro. I want to know about that, like psychedelics and stuff. Stop having Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk on your show every week, you freak. Like, what are you doing?
Man, it's this is like an outlet for me. Like,
another funny thing for that too, by the way. Sorry to like cut you off.
Please.
Like, there was a Clandis Owen. So you know who? What's his name? The other guy, Theo Vaughn. He's actually from like Lafayette.
Slidell. He's from Slidell.
No, he's from Madisonville.
Oh, Madison. Well, wherever. He's a scumbag. I don't care. I will say this before you get going. He is a Russian doll. Because he is a dumb man pretending to be smart, pretending to be dumb.
Yeah, no. That's whatever. I'm not saying anything about him, but like,
I will.
Sure. This is not my point, is what I'm saying.
I know.
So, like, you have literally on the episode before one episode of the show, you have Clandis Owens come on, the person who is like literally straight up anti-Semitic, and like nobody cares. But then you have Hassan Piker on the very next episode, and people get pissed. Like the Ethan Kleins get pissed.
So terrible,
like, bro, did you ever hear what like she has to say? She like, I don't know, man. It is crazy. She like opposes Israel on like literally anti-Semitic grounds.
Well, how about
she's so racist? She got fired by the Daily Wire.
Well, how about that? How about like, hey, small, miracles, I guess. Daily Wire is kaput because they were always astroturfed. Nobody was ever watching that.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching Asmongold.
Watch that?
Yeah. I want to dress up like
the only people that watch the Daily Wire were like leftist streamers farming for content.
Yes, yes.
All it was there for.
It was like the Majority Report watching Daily Wire. I think they probably had a sub to that garbage. Yeah.
I would hope they at least got some like ripped like clips or whatever. I don't know.
No one was ever watching that's nerd-ish, man. That's for nerds. No one's watching that nerd trash. TikTok is funny. Let me tell you, TikTok, you can't see it because you don't have the live up. But I just got asked by some MAGA dork, who's just like, "Hey, are you going to debate after this?" Or like, "I want to get in here." And I'm like,
"Do it."
I'm like, "No, I'm video gaming after this, bro. I'm playing Stardew Valley with a human female." Like, and I'm like, I was like, if you think I'm going to be one of these liberal dorks that's going to be on TikTok yelling at some MAGA dork about stuff you can't even understand. Yeah. The time for this goes back to the beginning.
Go watch Ben Burgess or something, bro.
The time for fussing at y'all is over. I ain't fussing with y'all. I ain't going back and forth with y'all. I'm not saying nothing. Stand on the train tracks and let the train run you over. That's what you want to do. You want to defend why the train tracks are the greatest place to stand. And I say, go for it, bro. I'm not sitting here arguing. I'm not sitting here trying to defend like the Social Security fund or like tax rates with some dork that's got a lifetime World of Warcraft subscription. I'm not doing that. Get out of here.
We've been on there since Grums was there, okay?
Yeah. Oh, Grums, draw your blade, pervert.
All right. So I think we do have to talk about that.
Oh, and I don't know that much about it.
All right.
That was awesome.
So first off, do you know who this guy is?
I know he had his hands in like 3 of the best video games of all time: StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo 3.
Now,
I know Diablo 2.
How much did he have his hands in it, though?
Like, I don't know. Like, who knows? I don't care. I mean, but still, I know that he's a 60-year-old guy pretending to be a cat girl running some kind of weird alt pornography websites. Mm-hmm. And he might have stole somebody's breast milk out of the Blizzard break room. I don't know. That's about it. You know who knows about this? You don't know. Aaron knows about this.
We need to get her on
because she's like terminally on X. I don't hang out on Twitter like that.
Well, but what I do know about him, and like, he's basically like he's been like essentially revealed to be having a second life of like. And this is not against porn or whatever, but like he's been essentially like running a ring of like girl fight porn on the internet, like I don't know, and he's what I know him most for over the years is just like essentially being a general in Gamergate, and being like one of these guys that like, oh, you know, this game is the new like woke game, and we're just gonna have the most unwashed, smelly, weird freaks on social media post about it all the time. You know what I mean? Like post about how it's woke and this is
He's
why
like a cat turd type of dude.
Basically, video games cat turd.
Make sure you break this down for people because this might be too online.
Oh yeah, who's cat turd?
I don't know. It's a guy on Twitter who says dumb things and people make fun of him. I don't know.
And I do feel like these guys are
Elon reply guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely Elon reply guy, but like it's the same exact thing, but instead of like just glazing Elon all the time, his bailiwick is like, oh, the boobs on this chick in this video game are not big enough. You know, like that's his problem all the time. And like they, you know, they target, they have this like, essentially they've made like reporters, like gaming journalists, specifically Alyssa Mercante. Shout out to Alyssa. But they've made people like her Satan in that world. Who's Alyssa is a video games journalist who just has the, you know, she's a woman and online, and she's also a video games journalist. So she's just like a royal flush for what these people hate.
Is she putting out good stuff?
Oh, she's great. She's awesome. She streams on Twitch too now, by the way.
The reason why I ask, I might check that out then. But the reason why I ask is because, okay, this is going to trigger some people. But I feel like it needs to be said is like, hey, this is something that Black people know. Like you ask a Jackie Robinson or any kind of trailblazer, you know, whoever was the first to do anything. If you are a woman and you know you are doing things that aren't traditionally done by women, like games journalism, you better be like real good. Because I don't mean like I'm not going to listen to you if you're real good. I'm fine. What I mean is your life is going to get pulled apart. So when I think about people, like I think about like Brianna Wu. I think about like I almost said
people that crumbled essentially.
I almost said Anna Kasparian. Who am I thinking of? The original the original Gamergate lady.
Oh God, the games versus women.
Yes. Oh, look it up real quick. It's like tropes versus women or whatever.
Feminist frequency.
Yeah, feminist frequency. So let's see. What was her name?
Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian. To where like her video series was fine. Like it was
like
I watched it.
101 basic like feminism ever. Like none of it was controversial.
It's like something to be taught in college, in like a college course.
It was quite frankly a little like I watched like all those videos and I'm like, you know what? These are kind of boring. Like
exactly. Like that's why I said it was something that would be given to you in a college course.
But she's like a pretty woman on the internet, like posting about this kind of stuff, and like these. I mean, it's honestly kind of.
It was her follow up to it was trash.
Well, who cares?
And it was like, it was like, but what I'm not saying she was like shrill or annoying or anything like that. It was the stuff like. Oh, she's doing a GoFundMe so she can make this like video series, and then the video series never comes out. And it's like they're going to come for you. I can think of, you know, we already mentioned Hassan Piker once in this podcast. Like Hassan, okay, so if we're gonna be completely generous, like Hassan is like a good guy. He's like blah blah blah. He's a good leftist. Da, 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 da. But if we're gonna be Machiavellian, yes, he can't do Teddy Fresh clothing.
No,
he has to do. Union. His clothing line has to be union, or they will come for him.
It has to be perfect.
He has to be perfect. You know, if you're gonna be the guy and out there and the guy or the lady that takes your metaphorical testicles and puts them on the block and goes have a free swing, then you better be perfect.
Which I felt like Anita was fine at that. Again, a little bit boring, but
no,
like
her content was fine. Yeah. I mean the response to like the response to the chuds, the Asmongold's coming out of the woodwork to attack her, and then her not following through with the things that people would come at her, whether she was things happen in life, it's fine, but you know, people are like, oh, look at her, she's about the grift, blah 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 blah, that kind of thing. I'm like, you got to be on your ish. Black people understand this.
Yeah, well, regardless, like again, in these kinds of situations. Even where they're not perfect, because they're inevitably not going to be, I kind of have to have their back If you know what
absolutely,
I mean?
absolutely.
Like you want them to do the best that they possibly can, and they are going to screw it up inevitably.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, there does need to be somebody in the
pretend
corner.
we live in a. I was gonna say, pretend we live in a world where we have some motion and like some real motion, right? So we would have been out there defending Brianna Wu, putting our metaphorical necks on the line, and then she turns out to be the wildest turf of all time.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
you can't do that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And there is something specifically when it comes to like women. And like I'm thinking specifically about Anita Sarkeesian, who's like a pretty woman, and like Alyssa, similar thing. Like the reason that these guys get so like charged up, and it's a lot of the same stuff that happens with AOC. It's because these dudes are just like horny and mad. Like literally, that's what it is. It's like, oh, here's a woman that is like the incels of the world, which that's the whole thing. But like they've decided that like this is an unattainable woman or whatever, and the problem is essentially that she's a B word, and I hate her for that.
Or it's even if they're not horny, it's I have opinions too, and I am a man. It's the same thing with like on Twitch. Like I can talk trash about Twitch all day about how it's like not a good platform. It's hard to discover people. But then also like I'm not going to sit here and poo poo booby streamers. No, because like that's what the market the market will bear that. Like they are providing a service that the market will bear. So the same people, I know you're going to say it. You're about to say the same
people that are pissed about it are the same people that are watching it. Like they're watching
same people with subs, same people with Amazon Prime subs. Yeah.
I gave 50 gifted subs to Amaranth channel or whatever, More Pie or whoever. And like, she didn't like F me. So
no, exactly.
What a
and I don't watch any of that stuff. Like I personally don't, just because I find them the last kind of like the closest to a booby
watch
streamer.
Real porn. I don't know, man.
I was really, and I mean by into, like as far as the bit, I was really, this is super online. I was really into Casey Tron for a while. Like I used to watch Casey Tron like after work every day because like her bit was hilarious. Like her whole thing of just was like,
what's her bit?
It was, I'm a hot girl on the internet. If you want me to acknowledge you, that acknowledgement better be on the back of a $20 bill.
Oh yeah.
Like I hate all of you. Like every one of you, I just hate. And she's like, streaming. Yeah, she's still streaming, but she doesn't do the bit anymore. Which I love that bit. It was just like it was hilarious. It was great comedy. But like, yeah, I don't understand, why are you mad? Like, why are you like?
Well, you know why you're mad.
Get money. Just let these ladies get money. And if we, this is a whole different issue though. It's like it's what I say about like we've transitioned to something else, but just like to end, we got a couple minutes left, but it's like, like men's rights and like this and that, and like that we lived through that in the mid 2010s and the 2010s and on. It's like, men going their own way, MGTOW. I'm like, if y'all were going your own way, you wouldn't be crying about what women are doing.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like a man going his own way, or like men in general going their own way, like, yeah, that could be seen as, you know what? I'm going to go get that degree. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to go get the job I want. I'm going to go achieve the goals I want. And that will make me more attractive to the opposite sex. Fantastic. But men going their own way, is it men huddling around going, I'm a high value man. I can't deal with no girl with a body count over 5 because I'm a high value man and I'm not going to get What are you talking about, bro? What are you crying about? Stop crying. Go do some push-ups.
And that translates into, and I think this is part of what Alyssa, she's writing a book right now on this stuff, essentially is the sort of like modern Gamergate and how that fuels a lot of this sort of like, I mean, part of it at least, not the entire thing, but it sort of fuels the sort of like broader politics that exist in this country, which is pretty obvious to me. But it's definitely a case that I think probably should be made over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same, like, no, it's true. Like, I don't know what these people, what they're mad about. When we talk about the new Gamergate, or like the boobies aren't big enough in the game. There's so many terrible games where they're just like, literally you can log on to Steam, and if you don't click like the filter to filter them out, they're like hardcore pornography on this platform. So it's like, what are y'all crying about? If y'all want to be neat and sit in your basement and goon all day to weird video games, you can absolutely do that. So I don't understand what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, again, I think the kind of like animating factor is the rage, and that rage, which is part of the sort of like everybody especially young men in the society are pissed off because life sucks. Like the eggs are expensive, all that stuff we were talking about earlier. All this stuff sucks. All it takes is an Asmongold or an Andrew Tate or one of these people to say, oh, you know why life sucks? Women. Oh, you know why life sucks? Immigrants. You know why life sucks? Like, not you. It can't be your fault. And it's
not your boss or your landlord.
Yeah, and this is the same exact thing that happened in what? Like we saw this the last round when it was the Zoomers, and now we're gonna see that with the next generation. It's almost like these things do come in waves, and like we're just gonna have to deal with this forever and ever. And like and I guess there needs to be a certain way to combat that to a certain extent, because at some point, like you can't just let this, because it does translate to politics too. Like you have these people who are like Andrew Tate and Aiden Ross people who just become these freaks that are just like become supporters of these right-wing causes.
Well, the answer is simple. The answer is simple. It's you have to make the material conditions of people better than they were the day before, and at least give them hope that their material condition is going to change.
And Cory Booker didn't do that.
So if you don't, the capital is going to jangle the keys and say, hey, don't look over here, go look over there. Don't look at your landlord or your boss or your educate or the educational system or the healthcare system. Look at girls are not attracted to high value men.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, because you know why I say this all the time, that is the key to so much. And it won't stamp it all down, but it will. This is where I agree with like a Ben Burgess. It won't stamp all racism, sexism, homophobia down, but people by nature are lazy. So you find me the most racist, sexist, homophobic guy you could possibly get on planet Earth, and you make his condition, his life conditions good enough to where he doesn't want to get off the couch to watch it. He's watching the game. He's not concerned what Andrew Tate's hollering about. The game is on. A 6-pack of Coors is $4. He's not concerned with all this. But you take his treats away, going back to our full thing about, America's falling down. You take his treats away and you don't direct him in the proper place where the blame needs to be, then it's going to shotgun out to everything else.
That is literally the raw materials for essentially like a fascism, essentially, because again, the solutions, and we do got to get out of here, but like the solutions that like the only alternative to this like straight up fascism that we're seeing is like the abundance agenda and Mark Cuban running your campaign and like all these like essentially warmed over stuff that everybody already hates. And so essentially when you rule out the sock dem button, like you mentioned earlier, when you put the break the sock den button, it doesn't work, then you're essentially just permanently on the road to where we're going right now. Essentially,
that's it. It's as simple. It really isn't.
There's no alternative. Literally, this is the center cannot hold moment, and the center is like trying to make themselves the only option, and it's so over.
It's for real, Jover. Sorry, American Century is absolutely over.
So that's cool, Robert.
What do I got going on? Let's see. So we're on TikTok
Stardew
now.
Valley. Check out TikTok.
Yeah, I'm gonna play some Stardew Valley in a bit on TikTok.
Metal Gear. You've been playing Metal Gear.
Metal Gear got a nice little file. I think I'm the Metal Gear guy on TikTok now.
Hell yeah,
I'm the Metal Gear guy. So
I've been meaning to do it at a playthrough of the Metal Gear series just for fun. Maybe I'll do it on Twitch. You should Twitch. You should dual stream on there.
I should, but I haven't set it up yet. I know it's not hard, but I just don't want to be bothered right now.
I'll help you set it up.
It's
and then anything else?
No, that's it.
Follow Comrade Morning on Twitter. Follow me at Eminent Prof on everything. And thanks everybody for listening. We love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
This is WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3.